Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be how to have effortless relationships. Well, the very first thing that you need to look at in order to have an effortless relationship is, number one, is you got to figure out what it is that you want. And just like if you're starting a new business, you got to have a vision for what you want to create and what you want to build. You have to know exactly the type of person that you want to attract in your life. What I tell people to do is write down a list of everything. If you could have it any way you wanted, what would you have? What would you want? How tall would they be? What color hair? What kind of hair? Short, straight, wavy? What kind of body shape? Do they work out a lot, or do they, is that not a big deal to you? What about their diet? I mean, all those kinds of things that are important. If you're a really healthy eater, you're probably going to have a hard time dating somebody who eats nothing but fried foods, meat and potatoes, and smokes cigarettes all the time. So obviously you got to figure out what it is that you want in a person, the things that are your must-have qualities, and then also figure out what things are deal breakers for you. What I've learned is over the course of my life and the different relationships I've had, my list of what I want in a woman and must have in a woman for a relationship has grown and become a lot more specific. And also certain traits and behaviors that I want absolutely fucking nothing to do with. Like a good communicator is one. I've dated women that are really horrible communicators, and it makes the relationship extremely difficult to maintain when the other person is constantly doing things to fuck things up. And so it's important, obviously, to know what you want. And then once you know what you want, then you got to have the balls to not settle for the first thing that comes along. And when you're in a relationship, also, the key is when you know, because a lot of people do this, a lot of people stay in relationships way longer than they should have. And what's the reason? Well, because it's obvious. We're all afraid. It's like, well, if I leave this person to find that next ideal person, am I going to find somebody as good or better, or will I find somebody that's worse? And that's what I went through when I ended up getting a divorce back in the early 90s that I wrote about in my book. I was worried that if I left my wife, that I'd never find anybody better. I'd never find anybody that would love me as much as her, that it would go downhill from there. And what I've learned is that the more confident you become as a man, the better and more successful you become as a man. And the more women you have, good, high-quality women you have relationships with and are able to maintain healthy relationships, then over time, not only do you become a better quality catch, but the quality of the women that you're able to attract goes up as well. And so what I found is that, I'll give you an example. I was in the grocery store the other day. I went to Whole Foods, and as I was walking in the door, I was going over to where the carts were, and then so there's on the right side is like the main entrance, and then on the left is where all the checkout counters are. And as I was walking in, I made eye contact with this woman. She was really beautiful. I'd say on a scale of 9 to 10, she was a solid 9. And it was just a look. It was more than a physical attraction. It was kind of an instant recognition or a connection. There was some kind of invisible spiritual connection was there. And I'd say she's pushing about like 90% of my attraction triggers, or the things that I like in women. And so I didn't think anything of it, because this kind of thing happens to me all the time. It's not really a big deal. It's easy for me to bump into a woman in a grocery store or in the mall or on the street and just start chatting about whatever. And just because I have a connection, I find her attractive and she finds me attractive, doesn't mean that I'm going to hook up with and go sleep with her. Now, when I was younger and less experienced, anytime I had a connection like that with a woman, I wanted to sleep with her, I wanted to get with her, I wanted to know what it was like. I wanted to explore that feeling. But over time, because, like I said, repetition is the mother of skill, which I repeat that all the time, I got better. Became a better man. And what I learned is I became pickier. And so back to the story. So anyways, I bump into this girl, or I didn't bump into her yet. I see her, and we make this intense eye contact. And then I go about my business. I go shopping. And then about 2 minutes later, I'm loading my cart up with celery and some of the other greens and stuff that I put into making green juice. One of the things I wrote about in my article, Rediscovered the Fountain of Youth. So out of the corner of my eye, I see that this gal's walking over, and she's very attractive. I wouldn't say she's stunningly gorgeous, but she's really pretty, nice hair, beautiful long straight hair, incredible figure. She has really tight jeans, and just perfect little bubble butt. Just a goddess, an absolute goddess. And so she's making her way over, and I'm, my cart's like half full of greens at this point, collard greens and all these different things. And so next thing I know, this girl comes from behind me and walks over and starts asking me about what's in my cart. And do I use it to cook? Do I put it in salads? What's it taste like? And then so I start talking about juicing and what I do, juicing vegetables. And this is what happens when you're confident and you walk like a dominant male walks and you're going about your life. Women who are beautiful, who are confident, who are pretty successful and are able to get the men that they usually want. And a lot of guys, when I first start telling them, they don't believe me, but I don't chase women. I don't have to, because things like this happen all the time. I'm just going about my life, and now this beautiful girl comes over and starts asking me questions about what's in my cart. Now, why is that? Why did she do that? Well, obviously she likes me, and there's a connection there, and she's trying to make it easy for me to ask her out and make something happen. And that's the beauty of it. It's like you really don't have to do anything. And for a guy that, at least for me, in my early life, I spent a lot of time dying to have those kinds of moments go well and not knowing what that was like, but always ruining it. Seeing eye contact and then walking over and then creating an awkward moment, and then the attraction dissipates, and then I was always left scratching my head. Well, what happens now is I have this amazing connection with somebody, and I can talk and interact and decide if I want to go out with them or not. And what's amazing about that is that it puts you in a position where you're actually rejecting or turning down really fucking beautiful women that only a few years or maybe a few months ago you'd have chewed off your left arm if you could have been with them. And it's an amazing place to be as a man. It's an amazing place to be where you realize that not only will women come up to you and make it easy for you, but if they have your phone number, they'll call you. Hey, what's going on? How are you? What's happening? And you don't have to chase. You don't have to really do anything. They'll do most of the calling and the pursuing. And that's what's so amazing about the process. But for a guy that's never experienced that, we get this idea in our heads of the one, like, oh my God, I don't want to screw this up. And that's a scarcity or a poverty mindset. In other words, we feel that there's not enough of this person. There's 6.5 billion people on this planet. Half of them are women. And if you're a woman, half of them are men. It'd be physically impossible for you to meet and ask out every single beautiful woman on the planet. It's just completely impossible. And what a lot of guys that are just starting to learn about my work or starting to apply these techniques don't understand, it's like when you're starting out, just like I once was, it's like you don't know what you don't know. You really don't know what you're capable of. Because when you meet the right person, that next great love of your life, that woman's going to make it easy for you. And it's going to be obvious that she likes you. And you're going to know what to do naturally because you've practiced and you've rehearsed that moment dozens and hundreds of times with other women in the past. And internally, if it's exactly what you're looking for, you'll know it. You'll feel it in your heart. Everything inside of you, your whole core of your being will scream, that's it! That's exactly the girl. There she is! That's the one I've been looking for! That's what you'll feel inside. It'll be like wanting to fucking jump out of your skin. You'll know it and you'll feel it. And when you get to the place where I've been at, where that's happened numerous times, and I know what comes next after that, it's magical. Then you get to a place in your life that you realize that that next great love or that next great relationship you're going to have is going to be a divinely orchestrated moment. So even if you don't ask that girl out and you walk away feeling like I should have done this, I should have done that, don't feel guilty about it, because she's just practice for the next one. The real, true, perfect next great love of your life is going to show up, and you're going to look in her eyes and she's going to look in yours, And it's going to be on. It's going to be obvious to you and to her that a special thing is happening between the two of you. And then you can just take what comes naturally. But the key is you got to figure out what it is you want and what's most important to you. That's the first step. And the second thing is that you can't settle, because there's too many people running around in this world that don't have the guts to leave their relationship. Because here's the deal. If you're dating somebody and you've lovingly already tried to talk to them and tell them how you want to be treated and how you want to be loved, and yet they still won't love you and treat you the way you want to be treated, you got a choice. You can either love and accept them as they are, and the fact that they're never going to be what you want or love you in the way you want, or you can stay with them and try to change them and then complain and bitch or be upset because they're different than you wish them to be, which is going to cause you to suffer. Or your third option is to leave the relationship and be single and continue to do the work on yourself to become a better person, to become the type of person you want to attract so you can have an effortless relationship. You know, it's just like baking a good cake. You got to have good ingredients. You can't bake a good cake when you have a broken or fucked up person on the other side that you're trying to have a relationship with. That's something to think about. And so if you find this message of value, you can show your appreciation by going down to the Wibbia toolbar, which is at the bottom of your screen if you're watching this video on my website, and click the PayPal donate button and donate any amount that you feel is equal to the value of the information in this video. At the very least, please share this page with all your friends and family by clicking any one of the social network sharing buttons, which are also located on the Wibbia toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And if you got a question to ask or a topic that you'd like me to cover in a future video newsletter, just summarize your questions in 3 to 4 paragraphs and click the Contact Me tab on the left-hand side of your screen and send me an email detailing your situation. Give me several days to get back to you with a detailed response because I get a boatload of emails. And if you'd like to book a paid phone coaching session with yours truly, click the Products tab, which is at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.